Taking Frankie for a spin, this is your spooky look at the Waxwork Records Universal Monsters Spinatures Frankenstein Turntable Spinner minifigure. It's alive. Frankenstein's monster is one of the most recognizable and classic horror figures in history. Pieced together by various body parts and reanimated by electricity, Frankenstein's monster Spinature is here and ready to terrorize your turntable. Be your own mad scientist and command your horrid creation to spin along with your spookiest records. But don't forget, the monster possesses a murderer's brain. Buyer beware. Of course, we can't celebrate the month of Spottober without a few sprinklings of spooky spots thrown in there, so expect for the rest of this month that above and beyond simply just the regular reviews that I post on this channel, we're going to be having a look at some spooktacular things as well, including the brand new Spinatures Frankenstein, kindly provided by the folks over at Waxwork Records, so a big thank you to them for providing the sample that we're having a look at in this review. Frankenstein stands, if I can provide you guys with the curdling calculations, and standing probably isn't the best word to be using, because after all, he's missing his lower half, but the Spinatures Frankenstein nonetheless is 4 inches in height. Switching that to centimeters, then you're looking at the Spinatures Frankie being 10.2, so almost 10.5 centimeters tall. And while sadly I don't actually have a turntable in my possession, just yet, I feel as I get a little older in age, and I start to appreciate more of the older styles of way you can actually listen to music and watch movies, I feel like I do want to own at some point an actual turntable, be able to listen to the rich sound with a record that just can't simply be reproduced in a CD or something you download on your phone. The idea of being able to play, especially around Halloween, the idea of the original Monster Mash, with Frankenstein's monster perched on top, spinning all the while, I think is a pretty fun idea. Let's get a closer look at the Spinatures Frankenstein. Essentially what it is if you have a turntable in your possession, the post, of course, that the album sits on top and fits through the whole of the album, would also be the same thing that you're going to plug on the underside here of Frankenstein's body. Right here, located in the hole in the center section of the Spinatures logo. And down below that, you've also got Frankenstein Trademark and Universal Studios. So looking at the close-ups here on Frankenstein's monster, boy did Waxwork do a bang-up job of channeling the likeness of the late actor Boris Karloff, who of course some thanks I'm sure should be given also to Victor Frankenstein. Between the two, gave life to this monster and made history in the process. Now, they've obviously gone the route of doing this black and white. It's not to say that they won't or haven't considered the idea already of doing this also in an all-color version, but I think black and white works best, those OG colors of Frankenstein's monster. If you look at the detailings done to the face itself, I love the shadowing that they put on just underneath in his lower eyelids. I also like the slumbering look on his eyes, where you can just quite barely make out those peepers staring right back at you. Of course, all the calling cards of Frankenstein are here, the scars, the staple along the top, and of course the bolts located here on the side. The top section in the silver, as well as the bolts, as well as the section here on his wrist, are the only areas that have any additional color, where the rest of it is all done in this gray scale treatment. I like that they did add the additional lining around the hands, where the body would basically be surgically attached using various body parts they would find. Of course, the calling card of having him with the larger shoulder pads. Not any person I've ever seen, short of maybe early 80s era Oprah Winfrey, has ever had shoulder pads these broad. And it does look quite good on this statue, this little mini figure of Frankie. Even looking at the jacket, as you can see, some nice detailing they've done to it as well. They've brushed it ever so slightly. Just a hush of paint done to the surface, where there's just a little bit of lighter gray that you can see sort of peeking out. But obviously the real star of this is the head sculpt. That is a fantastic looking head sculpt. I don't think they could have got a better looking likeness to Karloff. That's really like the pose that they put it in as well. Now, you would obviously imagine that they want to keep the hands furthest away from the record. You certainly wouldn't want the arms draping down because it would be running against the album itself, so they kept the arms up instead. Sort of like Frankenstein's monster saying, oh no, don't be playing Celine Dion's greatest hits on this turntable. I know, Frankie, I share your same feelings of angst. I really like also that they added and took the time to paint the fingernails. Something, again, you would almost not even need to be done. I mean, for the fact that this would be sitting on a turntable and constantly spinning the whole time you've got an album playing, you wouldn't even stop to really notice the details. But I do appreciate the fact that they would put that in there in the first place. I mean, you want to talk the details. I want to show you the neck area of Frankenstein. Not only do you have the wrinkles there, but they also put little blemished imperfections there as well, just to add a bit of realism. Now, you see some of it also happening on the side of his face. There are, yes, mold lines as a result of this getting out of the mold press. You'll see a little bit more here on the side. But, I mean, for the kind of character that Frankie is, after all, he's comprised and composed of individuals all sort of mushed and stitched together, that actually even having the mold lines there work well for this particular character. As far as I know, the intended plan by Waxwork is to release a whole line of Universal monsters, Spinatures. So imagine, if you will, not only is Frankie himself spinning to the classics, but you could also have the likes of Dracula, maybe the creature from the Black Lagoon. Bride of Frankenstein would be fun. The Mummy, Werewolf, and why not, even the Invisible Man. Although I would say as a suggestion they may want to wrap up the Invisible Man. Nobody's going to actually believe you've got the Invisible Man spinning on your turntable. Again, a harsh reminder that unfortunately I don't have a turntable just yet. It's always been really my plan to get a turntable, and now I have sort of a nudge, a reasoning to get one. The idea of being able to have Frankenstein spinning to some spooky classics all Halloween long. I mean, really, who am I kidding? I'm not going to have this just out for Halloween. I'm probably going to have Frankenstein, the Spinature, spinning to the classics all year round, providing, again, this guy can get off his butt and finally get himself a spinning turntable, which is something I really always wanted from the beginning. And now sort of Waxwork Records, as a result of looking at the Spinatures version of Frankenstein, has given me that necessary nudge I think I need to finally shell out the necessary funds and get one that I can have in my living room, listening to classic records, while Spinatures Frankenstein is spinning along with it. Now, I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but do you guys also have, when it comes to holidays like Halloween and Christmas, a set playlist in your mind of what your top favorite songs are that you have to listen to every single year without fail? There's always the opportunity for a new song to be added to the list, but you have a certain set playlist in your mind. I literally have a playlist every single year for Halloween that I listen to at work. If I'm lucky enough while I'm driving, I can stumble onto a radio station that's playing some Halloween classics, like Crazy in the Night, like Clap for the Wolfman, the original Thriller, of course. That's got to be on every person's Halloween playlist, and the original Monster Mash. When it comes to, like I said, driving home, it's always nice to be able, closer to Halloween, stumble onto those radio stations that like to get behind the Halloween tradition and play those classic songs. But I mean, going into the idea, we can't really do it this year, but I always really liked the idea of having people over for Halloween get-togethers. It usually involves watching scary movies and listening to music in the background. But there's something that gets missed when you don't have the original turntables and those albums that you can put on. That crisp depth of sound that you really can't replicate when it comes to iTunes or Spotify. There's something to be said about being able to pull out a classic album, putting it on a turntable, and having that spinning in the background while people are serving up punch and hors d'oeuvres. Now, the idea that you can actually have a Spinature, a little mini figure that you can put on top of the turntable, it gives it also something else to look at, so it's not just a spinning album. What they've done here from Waxwork is produced Spinature turntable minifigures. And of course, no better for Halloween than be looking at the Universal monsters. This one happened to be Frankenstein. I really do hope that they continue the trend of releasing more of these. I looked online before recording this review, and I sort of saw some of the ones that they've done before. I think there is a Jason Voorhees, unless somebody customized one of those. But I'd love to get a Jason Voorhees turntable Spinature. But these are really fun. I mean, of course, the novelty is the fact that they're sitting on a turntable and they're spinning. But really, when you look at them close enough, they're really great-looking collectibles as well, based on the detailing that they put in there, capturing perfectly the likeness of Boris Karloff. Again, I would love to see this guy done as a full-out straight statue that I can put on display, but In the meantime, I'll put him on a shelf without his lower half, with the hopes, again, that I can finally venture out and get myself a turntable. So finally, when I have people over, not so much this year, because obviously there's other scarier things going on in the world, but maybe next year when things clear up, let's hope, I can go back to the idea of having these big Halloween bashes, monster movies, monster food, and monster sounds that I can actually have Frankenstein spinning on top. My brand new turntable. Let's just hope that's the case. A big thank you again to the folks over at Waxwork who provided the sample here of Spinatures Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster, but we're not going to have that debate at all here. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys certainly think of this Spinatures Frankenstein. Would you like to pick up one of these for yourself? I'll provide the link down below to Waxwork Records website. And also, if you guys are enjoying the content that you're seeing on this channel, consider the idea of hitting that subscribe button down below. Turn that blood-soaked bell on. It's not really so much blood-soaked, but for the month of Halloween, the month of Spottober, of course, we are going to be having a look at regular reviews, but then we're also going to be looking at some rather spooky things as well, spooky offerings. So stay tuned for those. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.